Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap with another edition of our page kit assembly tutorial. This is September's Falling Leaves collection. It is a beauty with some gorgeous colors, so grab your pumpkin latte if you drink those, and let's get started. Of course, I have my instructions printed and ready to go. A lot of people just keep them on their tablets and use them without printing, which is great. I've got my Fiskars trimmer, an accordion pocket file, and if you are a member and haven't made yours yet, I want to encourage you to reach out. If you don't have the video link and tutorial to make this, we also have a starter kit to help you make your accordion pocket file to keep you organized. And then we have the kit itself with its beautiful ribbons, these gorgeous leaf, they're like rose gold leaf charms, some photo mats, the washi tape, the wonderful stencil, and all the papers. So to get started, we're going to sort those papers in the order in which we'll be using them and file our photo mats. When I'm sorting my photo mats, I just look at the list of ingredients and I can see that in layout 1 and 2, it's always going to be the third item in the list. The first two items will be the left and right base of the layout. So there are no photo mats used in layouts 1 and 2, but in layout 3 and 4, we're going to be using 3 red and 2 brown. So let's grab those. 3 red, put those in pocket 3 and 4, and 2 brown, also pocket 3 and 4. In layout 5 and 6, we'll be using 3 cream, 1 orange, and 1 brown. And then in layout 7 and 8, we're going to use the remaining 2 orange. Great. Okay, now let's get those papers in order. For that, especially if you're new, I just want to let you know where I begin. So that's on page 2 of the instructions. I always start with the first print that we have listed, put them in order. Then I grab the cut-aparts, and then I sort the rest of the papers starting from layout 8, working backwards. If that didn't make any sense to you, no worries, just follow along. So let's grab your entire stack of paper, and I'll start with the first print here. We're just going to take one of those. I'll place it face down on my trimmer, so I'm going to flip over the whole pile when I'm done sorting. Then I need an orange plain. This is also the same on both sides. You don't need to worry about that. And it has a gorgeous, almost like a cloud-like texture to it. I love this. And then there's a cream texture. Now this paper has just a stunning feel to it, and also a recycled element, which I love about this paper as well. It does have one side has more texture than the other, so I'll just place it texture side down so that I can keep track of that. And then a brown plain. Then let's reach for our cut-aparts from the back of the stack. I usually start it with the strips, so we'll grab those cut-apart strips from the bottom of the pile. And then there's one more sheet of cut-aparts, just random shapes. Now I'm going to go find out what is the base for layout 8 and work backwards from there. So we'll start with a brown plain. That's kind of the bottom of my pile. And then this beautiful brown print. It has a gold metallic ink on it, which is all leaves. It's an all-over pattern. It's just so beautiful. Then for the next pair, we need 2 red plains. Again, just a gorgeous color. And let's find the other cream texture plain. And then a brown print. Gets easier and easier as we go. An orange plain. And then the last piece is this other cream leaf print, which I just love how the sun's coming in on this. Just reminds me of a beautiful fall day in Wisconsin. Okay, I flipped everything over so that what was on the bottom is now on the top, and let's get busy trimming and filing. We're going to start by placing this into our trimmer so it's right side up. That'll mean that the sun is coming in from the upper left corner, and just simply find 7 inches and give that a slice. Both of these pieces are used in layouts 5 and 6. And you know, with a paper this big, sometimes I just set it aside rather than put it in my pocket so I'm not dealing with that big piece of paper in there the whole time. So I've just set that aside. Now I'll grab the orange plain and we will trim this at 10, then 8, and 4. Rotate the 4x12 so it's horizontal and just cut it in half at 6 inches. And file those pieces into pocket 1 and 2. Pick up the next 4x12 and we'll trim this horizontally at 11 and 5.5. These 2 pieces of orange go in pocket 7 and 8. And there's this little guy right here. We're actually going to use him in pocket 1 and 2. Then you have a 2-inch strip. There's actually 2 of them. One of them will be filed in 7 and 8. The rest need to be trimmed into 2-inch squares. So to do that, we'll just trim on all the even numbers. So that's 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2. Take 2 of the squares, put them in pocket 1 and 2, and the other 4 will go in 7 and 8. Next, we'll trim the cream texture. Let's just cut this easily at 8 and 4. Now 2 of the pieces will be treated the same way, so we can stack them together. These are both 4 by 12. Cut them horizontally in half at 6 inches. 2 of them will be used in layout 1 and 2, and the other 2 will be used in 3 and 4. As you're filing, people ask me this often, as you're filing, it doesn't matter the order that you put it into the pocket, just as long as it makes it into the right pocket. This last 4 by 12, we're going to cut into equal sized rectangles, but we start at 11, so there's going to be a little bit of a scrap. So 11, 8 and a quarter, 5 and a half, 2 and 3 quarters. It's going to give me 4 rectangles that can be added to a scrapbook page all in a row with equal spacing. It's going to look really cool. And then we have this last strip here that goes into 3 and 4. Now we'll take the brown plain. We're going to make 2 really narrow strips by trimming first at 11 and 3 quarter, and then 11 and a half, 10 and a half, 9, 7 and 3 quarters, 6 and a half, and 4. Rotate that 4 by 12. We'll trim it twice. Okay, the first number is 9, and then 6. Okay, the 6-inch piece and the other 2 3 by 4s, these rectangles, all of this gets filed in 5 and 6. Then the next strip, we're going to trim it several times, horizontally at 10 and 3 quarters, 9, 7, and 3 and a half. Take this 3.5-inch piece and file it in pocket 1 and 2. The next 3.5-inch piece goes in 3 and 4. Then you have a small rectangle, 5 and 6. Another skinny rectangle, that's 1 and 2. And the skinniest rectangle of all is your only scrap of this whole entire thing. Isn't that amazing? Okay, now we're moving on to the cut aparts. These are the strips, and those can be found on layout 1 of your instructions, right at the bottom here. And the numbers that are superimposed on the art element tells you what pocket it needs to go in, but I'll walk you through the process. There's also an extremely faint hash mark, which you probably can't see on the camera. You can see that, at least in real life with good lighting, I can find those little hash marks. So I will line up the hash mark with the outer edge of my trimming blade. And my first cut, when I do have that lined up, is at 11 inches. Then 10. And 9 and a quarter. And always adjust to make sure that the hash mark is lined up with the blade. And we're looking at about 8 and a half. 7 and a quarter. 5 and a half. And 3 and 3 quarters. All right, this larger piece goes in pocket 1 and 2. And the next strip, by being yourself, I want you to set that aside for now. This next one, you're never too old, 3 and 4. Fall is proof, that's 1 and 2. I have a whole big pile here. I'm just going to pick everything up. Oh, I see some things I forgot to file from the brown. Let's get that. We'll get that done. I apologize. Okay, so here we have our this a leafy strip, 3 and 4. Some stripes, 7 and 8. A red border strip, 5 and 6. Splendid, 5 and 6. Then I'm going to go back to the brown. I'm so sorry. I do that once in a while, so just bear with me and my imperfections. We have 2 strips that are the same size, 5 and 6. Then there's a wider one that goes in 1 and 2. Then we have this medium-sized one. This is 1 inch. This goes in 3 and 4. And still kind of down here next to my trimming blade, there are 2 additional really narrow strips. Those go in 1 and 2. So speaking of imperfections, I had you set this aside because I discovered something as I was working to make a book. So this is a project you'll learn more about later this month, but it's called a book and a faux book. So there's actually a fake book inside, and then inside of that is a real one. This is a glue-free book structure, super cool. And then I had photographed the item, and I was promoting it for a workshop that I'm doing locally, and realized, to my shock and horror, that we had missed a typographical error that was in here. And, you know, we're all human, so that stuff happens. The best part of the news was that it's not a mistake until it goes out the door, right? So what we did is printed an extra one of this particular strip with the typo that you'll find in your kit. So this one is corrected. It says by being yourself instead of the original, which said by being you-self. It happens, and I apologize, and just make sure you throw away the one that has the error on it and then keep the other one that we've included in your kit, and that will be filed in pocket 7 and 8. All right, now with that said, let's trim apart our final cut apart without any errors, hopefully. And, you know, just things happen, right? There's a strip here, this narrowest strip we wanted to come off first. So I'm literally putting this in the trimmer right side up, and we'll find 11 inches again and give that a slice. And then the next mark that goes all the way through is 7 3/4. Be careful on that one. Same for the next slide. You gotta go down to 4 inches. Do a rotation. We're gonna cut that at 6. This empty frame goes in 5 and 6. This piece 3 and 4. And then we'll do some horizontal cuts on this. The first one, if you put it in with the C and the D on the right, it's going to be about 10 1/8. And then 8 1/4. 6 3/4. This piece, 1 and 2. And I fell for you, which is adorable, 3 and 4. Then we have our 4 letters that need to be trimmed into squares. Now remember those orange squares we cut earlier? Those are 2 inches. These will be perfect to fit on top of those orange squares. All of this goes in 7 and 8. Next, pick up this guy. We got our first cut. Make sure the largest piece is on your left. We've got 9 3/4. Slide to 7 1/2 and 5 1/4. Okay, 1 and 2. And then we have some journaling prompts. Autumn goes then 3 and 4. Thankful, 1 and 2. And this one needs a separator. So let's just put the leaf on the left. And the leaf goes in 1 and 2. And the little journaling prompt goes in 5 and 6. The final narrow strip is used on layout 7 and 8. And that concludes our trimming phase of the operation, so let's get going on our dry fit process. Okay, for our next step, you'll want to get rid of your trimmer and take everything out of pockets 7 and 8. We'll be stacking our layouts up from bottom to top. So, and then the very next sheet in your large stack of papers should be this brown plane. So that's the base for layout number 8, and everything's been taken out of the pocket. Now I did discover a misfiling, and I apologize once again, expressing my humanness. There's a sentiment that was misfiled in pocket 1 and 2. It should have been in 7 and 8. So from 1 and 2, you're going to want to grab this. But these are the days we dream about from that pocket. You'll notice that it's missing when you try to assemble your pages. So we're going to begin with a vertical border strip and then run these 4 rectangular pieces along the left edge. Now I explained that because of the way we cut these, they'll fit really nicely all in a row, almost like a film strip. Just a little tip for you for if you happen to have this Club Scrap grid ruler, which I won't scrap without it, before I adhere these pieces to my paper, I place the ruler along the left edge of the page, and then I can begin at the center mark with planning my spacing for these pieces. So if you want to do like, 3/16 of an inch or just 1/4 of an inch, half inch, well, no more than 1/4. That seems to fit pretty nicely. So that way they're all in a nice straight row, looking beautiful, and then you can attach the strip right next to it using the same distance. Once again, using the ruler too to make sure that it's vertically level, because my tendency would of course be to attach it in a crooked fashion. Then on top of this, I basically took a little piece of this beautiful wide orange chiffon ribbon. If you just cut a little length of it, and fold that ribbon in half. I always keep my tape handy for jobs like this. Just fold it in half and put it on the center of the square. Flip the square over and add some tape to hold that in place. So it just kind of makes it an attractive little loop and adds a little interest to that piece. And then these will be placed, you can do that with all 4 of those squares, slightly overlapping these cream texture rectangles, just ever so slightly. And be mindful when you're putting adhesive on this to stick everything down, don't put adhesive on that far left edge so that when you want to add a photo to the mat, it just slides right under there, no problem. And then of course you want to begin with A, B, C, and D. If you'd like, you can also put smaller photos on these instead of using the letters. It's entirely up to you, but it looks kind of nice. And then there are 2 sets of orange mats in your folder. You want to make sure that you grab the smaller ones because those are the ones that will fit here. Now, if you're looking at the image in your instructions, you're going to notice that there's some leaves, and you're like, Tricia, where did those leaves come from? Well, obviously, maybe by now you have figured out they come from the stencil. And we have been carrying these nice little brush applicators in our shopping cart, and I'm going to grab my pigment white ink and just pick up some of that ink with my brush. And then with the stencil placed over the corner of my page, I'm just going to brush some ink on there. I should keep my ink over where I'm working. And just, you know, give it a nice application. If you are not comfortable with stenciling, or maybe you're new to it and you want to make sure that nothing moves while you're applying the ink, go ahead and use a piece of painter's tape or a temporary kind of adhesive to hold that stencil down while you're working. And you can, it doesn't have to be super dark, but wow, what a gorgeous effect up there in the upper right corner. And you know, it went so quick, I think I'll just go right ahead and finish the application in the lower right corner as well. I generally don't clean my stencils. I just get them ready for the next project, unless I'm working with paint or gesso or something like that. Then I would definitely clean it. Oh, so beautiful. Just plop your photo mats right in there so you can see a little bit of that stenciling from the top and the bottom. And this is ready to go. And for the finished version, here's my layout. I mean, it almost looks identical to our little test run, and you can see everything is nice and straight and everything is centered. If I put my ruler back on here, yes, I have about an eighth of an inch, I'm sorry, a quarter of an inch along the top and bottom, an eighth of an inch between each of these pieces. So nice. Okay, I'm going to set this one aside. And if you're working at home, you can of course do layout 7 and 8 at the same exact time. That might even be a little easier, but with the way my camera works, it's a better shot if I can just do the 12 by 12 inch space rather than a 12 by 24. All right, this is the part where you have your fixed page strip here on the left edge. And then we're just going to make like an L shape across the bottom. That gives me some nice space. Then when you add your vertical mats, that they're tilted, make sure that you don't have corners touching edges. And then just to prevent tangents from occurring, that like this, where the corners are touching each other and the edge, just simply raise and lower one, have them overlap slightly, and you have a really nice tangent-free area. I used some of this beautiful ribbon across the bottom, so just trim off a length of about 14 inches, wrap the ends around to the back, and then tie a bow onto this ribbon for a nice finishing touch, and then overlay on top of that the horizontal cut apart. Here's that finished layout again with the bow attached, and then the ribbon is just taped on the back. You can go ahead and take everything out of pocket 5 and 6, and also make sure you grab those other 2 larger pieces you may have set aside that we didn't file just because they were really big for the pocket. And then you're also going to need this roll of leafy washi tape for this layout. And we'll begin with a narrow piece. Sun leaves, or the rays going this way, leaves are on the bottom, and that'll be right against the left edge. So this is going to combine and go across the gutter and to the other page as well. So left edge. Then across the bottom, let's anchor all of that with this horizontal nested strip. So you've got the red and the brown nested. And then on top of that, for now, we'll just kind of place mark this horizontal nested mat. So you've got your 4 by 6 cut apart on top of a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 photo mat. And 2 more ivory photo mats above. And then there's this smaller weird sized brown piece. There was a purpose in trimming that, so that should nest with your journaling prompt and then kind of bring the eye there. For the finishing embellishment, I used one of these gold tone leaf charms, and you'll notice that they have a slight curved shape to them. If you want to make them a little bit less dimensional, all you need to do is just lay it on a flat surface and push down firmly on it, and it just gives it a little bit of a flattening, but not completely. Okay, so I did that, and then I used some ribbon to create a little embellishment there, which I'll show you on the finished layout. A couple of things that I did. So here's the leaf charm. I folded some of that beautiful brown ribbon with the gold tone edge and stapled it onto the cut apart, and then I used a foam adhesive circle to adhere that over the staple. So it almost looks like the leaf is holding it onto the ribbon, but really underneath there's a staple. Here's the washi tape going across the bottom of the page, and then I tied this ribbon completely around this on the right edge and just tied a little bow and trimmed the ends. That's the finishing touch required for that layout. For the remaining one in the spread, this is number 5. We've got all of our leftover pieces here. So the largest portion of that gorgeous cream print goes to the right side now. So we're balancing everything that happened on the right side of the layout, but everything that happened on the right page of this spread, we're almost doing the reverse of that. So that one had a border across the bottom. This has a border across the top. And a horizontal photo mat here, and a nested photo mat on the left. So the large ivory, and then the smaller brown. So if you tried to put this brown on the other side, it wasn't going to fit. Okay, then, because of the way this word splendid is positioned, I can fit these 2 3x4s right above it, and also add some washi tape across the top. So here's that finished layout with my washi tape. It's pretty simple and basic. You've got room for additional photos, captions, a title, whatever you want to add to this, but that's all there is to layouts 5 and 6. You'll want to take everything out of pocket 3 and 4, because of course we're working backwards. This is the base for layout 4, which is that gorgeous cream texture. And one of the things that I did before finishing the layout was I did use the stencil, this time with Club Scrap's Earth ink. And I have another brush that's dedicated to darker tones. So you're going to pick up the ink off the ink pad, and especially when it's fully loaded, I usually make sure I land directly onto the stencil with a gentle circular motion, just so that I don't get any nasty spots. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that when you take a look at my finished page. I did kind of have one darker than intended spot because I had just reloaded my pad with some fresh ink, and I picked up quite a bit of it. So you can see how fun and easy this is. And what I love about this cream textured paper is that as you're working, the texture also makes itself known. You don't have to worry so much about doing the whole sheet. I'm just going to do a strip along the right edge, and I'm only going to do this much of it. So what you can do for the next one is just a rotation. Just kind of fit it how you want and continue on, and then rotate again and work your way down. Just the entire right edge of the page. And I'll show you how that all finished up on my completed page. But you get the idea. It's a very, very easy process, and with tons and tons of other potential. Okay, we're going to start out our page with 2 horizontal brown photo mats near the inside gutter of the double page spread. And then we have a nested border strip that we'll put on the right. So that'll start with brown and then overlay with that leafy pattern. And then look for a larger red photo mat. Just plop that right in there. It's going to sit kind of on top of that border so you can still see the stenciling happening. Oh, there's my phone. It's probably my husband calling. I'm going to take a short break and see who's calling. Okay, I'm back. Yep, it was my husband calling. We're making plans for the big weekend. You know, it's Labor Day. It's fall. All right, so here we have a journaling prompt and a dark brown mat for that. And that is kind of it for this layout. I did use a little bit of this really beautiful, I just love this ribbon. It's a satiny texture, but with a little bit of glitter that does not come off. My favorite kind of glitter does not come off. On the finished layout, you can see how I did that. Oh yeah, I made a bow. And I had a little thing I printed from the internet for that. It's called the Classic Bow. It's just like a graphic. So I really just, because I wanted to learn how to make it so it looks so nice. And I followed that along pretty carefully. Maybe if I think of it, I'll try to share this link. You kind of have to make these 2 loops like so. And then you crisscross them. And then you bring that over and through and pull. Well, there, I just did it, okay? So now you know. Maybe you can rewind that and watch it again. I'm not the best at making bows, so I'm always looking for just that recipe or that way. And then once you get that bow made, oh, that's the pretty side. You have a nice looking side, you know? And there, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay, so then I have a scissors that I just keep just for ribbon, something that will actually cut it. So I will trim a nice little V by folding it in half and trimming toward the edge of the fold, toward the knot of the bow. Oh, that's so nice looking. Okay, so there's your bow. And here's the graphic that I use, so if you want to just pause and then look at that. But that picture right there is kind of what really helped me make my first successful one, and I keep it right on my bulletin board here at my desk. Okay, so moving on. Oh, you can also see the stenciling. Oh, that's so pretty. And this is where I had a little splooch of too dark. So just be aware of that. It can happen. It still looks very nice. And then for page number, put this here. Page number 3, we're going to slide over this beautiful, put this all away, this brown print. And I've got some elements to add. So across the top, we've got our play in the leaves. And above that, you'll say, what's going on up there? Well, it's the rest of this beautiful ribbon. So I'll just clip off a chunk of this. And that just stretches across the top of the page. Ribbon, the ends wrap around to the back. Then we've got some red photo mats. Once again, these are tilted. Avoid your tangents by putting one higher than the other and overlapping slightly. And then nest them with these cream textured photo mats. Now, there's this little narrow piece in here. So what you do is just, you gotta use your paper scissors for that. Here I just told you that I use that exclusively for ribbon, and then I go and try to cut paper with it. Just cut a little thing into that. And then stretch some washi tape over the top. Wrap that end around to the back. And you can, I could have done this before I added that little cut. Oh, that looks so nice. Just a little homemade embellishment, just a little wingding. And you can add a little caption or a date, would be very sweet. That's probably what I'll end up doing with that. And then here on the upper left, I added the I Fell For You. And then with foam adhesive circles, just 2 of these gold leaves sort of tucked in there after I did the push down flatten technique, okay? So on the finished page, here we are with my mounted. This I also attached with foam adhesive circles to bring it up and give me a place to kind of slide those ends of the gold leaf charms under there. That's beautiful. All right, we're creeping in on the end here. So layout number 2 is next. Took everything out of pocket 1 and 2, and the base for layout 2 is this beautiful orange plain. And across the bottom, just a nice big anchoring piece with a potential for a photo spot on here as well. That'll go across the bottom. And then in order to create some contrast between this and the base of the paper, that's where these narrow strips come in. So let me show you very quickly how I attach something like this. So I'm about 1/2 inch from the bottom. So I lay my grid ruler across the bottom of the page. And don't worry about those pieces right now. And I'll just add adhesive to the strip. You can see how I do this. Now, once I have it, adhesive, and I know I'm going to be about 1/2 inch, I will rest the bottom edge of this onto my ruler with adhesive on the back. And once I center this left to right, I just drop it down. Then to attach these really narrow strips, my adhesive is 1/2 inch wide, so it's way too wide to adhere this. I'm going to use my needle tip applicator with the glue. I'm not sure if this one's working. Yes, it's working great. So then I just make a squiggle line right along the edge. And I already know this is straight. And I don't put the adhesive on the strip, I put it on the paper. And then I kind of drag and drop the end of it. I'm starting at the left edge here, till it kind of clicks down into place. And all I have to do is just follow it through. It's a good tip, right? And then I do the same thing across the bottom on the other side, just this little squiggle. Not too wide, because the strip is only 1/4 inch thick, and then I'm going to drop that down into place. And it literally makes almost a click sound. If you slide it down, it will land, and that's going to be the perfect spot. You see how quick that happened, and it's perfectly level because I started by using my ruler to make sure that this border strip was nice and straight. Always remember to put the lid on your needle tip glue applicator. I store my glue applicator facing down, and when I'm working with it, I keep it on its side. That way the glue is always closer to the tip and it prevents it from drying out. Okay, remainder of the pieces here. We've got some cream textured photo mats. These are only 4 by 6 in size. And then on the right side is this quote. And then I'm going to flank that with this narrow rectangle nested with the leaf. Then just take some of this really pretty gold edged satin ribbon and cut a little V into the top. It wants to lay this way. Cut a little V into the bottom. Oops, I did it in the wrong direction. Okay, I probably made it too short, and I did. That's all right. You can put one up here and one piece down there, tape it, whatever you've got to do, but that is going to be how that embellishes out. That looks very nice, actually. And then just a little gold leaf to accent that. Here's the finished page with the correctly sized ribbon. It's sandwiched between the brown and the ivory cut apart. Here's the leaf attached with foam adhesive, and then my beautifully level border across the bottom. Our final page begins with the cream print, and we'll add a nice little border across the top nested with some brown plain. Bring that all the way up there, and then 2 orange 4 by 6s will be in the lower right corner. Again, this balances. If you look at the left page, you've got your 2 horizontals that are straight, and on the right page you have 2 verticals that are tilted. I prefer to tilt vertically rather than horizontally. Just never quite feels right. Okay, here's Thankful nested on some brown. And we've got our 2 little squares, and then I'm going to cut a V into what would have been a scrap. And how about we take, there should be a little piece of that gold ribbon. I have it all like in my pile, but that metallic gold ribbon, just nest that on top of this. Oh, here it is right here. Look at that. I'm going to make the same kind of a cut here that I've been making just by folding in half. Take my other scissors, cut toward the fold. Then you can nest that, right? And that can all live and kind of get tucked behind the Thankful. You can decide how far you want that to go, just so it doesn't go past the edge of the page. Now, we have this beautiful brown ribbon. I could probably take a few seconds and show you how to make a 3-part bow. Should we do that? I did this quite a while ago, but I'm going to quick do it again so you know how this works. And you need some tape in order to make a 3-part bow. So the first thing I do with the ribbon is just make a loop. Like however wide I want, however big I want the bow to be, make a double length of that size. So if I want a nice big bow, I don't know, how long is that? People like to know inches. They like to know exactly. So let's tell you. That's going to be like a 9-inch piece. You know, it's going to be pretty big. So if I want like a 4-inch bow, I need an 8-inch loop. So just cut that piece of ribbon. And then get some tape ready. And tape it into a continuous loop. Because the ribbon is slightly wider than the tape, that works nice. Okay, so that's part of your bow. This is part 1, this is part 2, this will be part 3 in a 3-part bow. So I'm going to cut another piece of ribbon that's pretty short. It should only be about twice the length of the width of the ribbon, if that made any sense. And I'm going to put some tape on the end. So take my loop and find the seam and put that in the back of the center. And then we're going to place it right where we want it to live on our big, long strip going across our page. I'm going to tape to the back there. And then just bring it around. That looks nice. And then I just add one more piece of tape going across. And there will always be like a little bit of a tail left over, so just take scissors and trim that away. Remember, 1, 2, 3. 3-part bow looks beautiful, and that's what's going to be added to the upper right corner of this layout. Finished page. Let's bring it in. Ooh, I added, oh, that's so pretty. I really like that gold leaf charm right there on top of the metallic ribbon with our rescued scrap. I mean, that could have been a scrap quite easily, but boy, I just think it adds so much to this page, and as does that beautiful 3-part bow, which I hope you'll give it a try. I think it just adds so much, and what I love about it is it doesn't add a lot of dimension to the layout either. hope you had fun making the falling leaves layouts. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube because we release additional videos throughout the month as well, and we have a huge repertoire of things that we've done in the past that you can look up for regular inspiration. And if you like making cards, be sure to tune in to the beautiful falling leaves card kit. We have a full assembly tutorial for you to make those cards as well. So we'll see you there.